So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today, welcome you back here at BSN. This is the BSN podcast here today. It is Friday, October 23rd. Everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yes, their day. It is amazing that we are now sitting here on Friday, and it is now game picks for week 7 of the NFL season. Really is amazing how time flies like that. And really just crazy that we are already in week 7 of the NFL season, and we have seen last night's game. Very good game. Very close game all the way through. Did, in fact, get my game pick wrong, but that's okay. I tell you what, my record this year on Thursday night games is got to be horrible. I mean, I might have only won. I might be like 2-5 on Thursday night games this year. I mean, it's horrible. I always start off the week with the loss on Thursday night. I don't know if it's just because of how bad the matchups are half the time, and you just don't know who to pick. Like, you have the Jaguars-Dolphins. Dolphins aren't horrible, but Jaguars are bad, and the Dolphins are rebuilding, right? 2 rebuilding teams. And you had last night 2 teams that could win a division, but 2 bad teams too. Like, I don't know if it's just because of bad teams, or if it's just because I just straight up can't pick the right player. I am telling you, I have messed up on the Thursday night game so many times this year. Messed up on the Bengals early on. Messed up on the Jaguars. Messed up on the last night's game. That in itself is 3 losses, plus how many more. I mean, if you really are counting it, technically that Monday night game was a Thursday night game. It counted as a Thursday night game, so technically I got that one right against the Chiefs. But, I mean, the Jets I got right. But it is crazy. I don't know what it is. I just can't get the Thursday night game correct. So I got it wrong yesterday. It was a very good game. We'll talk about it. We got the World Series as well. That should be another good game. It's going to be exciting. I think tonight's game is going to be really good. Obviously, I think in regards to I think it's just going to be good. So I'm excited to see what happens with that game. And then, so these are the topics. We got the NFL game picks / the Jets. We'll talk about last night's game, talk about the upcoming games on Sunday, all that good stuff. Don't have to go through it every week. You understand what it is. Fantasy football overview, give you fantasy, who you should start, who you should sit. You already know what it is. I've been doing this is my 7th week now this season, doing a Football Friday. So you already know. Then we got the World Series, college football games, Miami versus Virginia, and the Big Ten games. We'll go through all the Big Ten games since this is their first week. We'll go through unranked teams and ranked teams, talk all about them, give you what I think, who I think is going to win. It's going to be another good sports weekend. We got the World Series tonight. We got college football tomorrow. We got NFL tomorrow. And then the World Series throughout the weekend as well. So we got the World Series tonight. So the World Series really kicks us into the weekend. So we got the World Series today. We got the World Series tomorrow. World Series Sunday. And no World Series on Monday. But actually, it's a guarantee we're going to have a World Series. So tonight's Game 3 of the World Series. It's a big game. It's tied 1-1. It's a big game. Bueller versus Morton tonight. So we'll talk about that. Give you my game pick. All that good stuff. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So, last night's game, like I said, was a pretty good game. Like I said, this is Football Friday. This is going to be my game picks. I'm going to give you who I think should win, who I think will win, who I think is going to lose, why, and all that stuff. You already know Football Friday. But let's get into last night's game involving the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was a pretty good game. I mean, I'll tell you what. I was sitting there watching that game, and I even texted a couple people. This game is the definition of the NFC East. I mean, this was a sloppy game from the start to finish. I mean, it was pretty sloppy. It was a pretty sloppy game. It was 22-21, a low-scoring game. I mean, it was 10. You know it's sloppy when it's 10-7 halfway through the third quarter. And then finally the Giants scored, made it 14-7. You know it's a sloppy game, and it's just not one of those games that just are not really that. It's just not that entertaining when it's 10-7 halfway through the third quarter. And then the Giants scored, made it 14-7. And then, we'll talk about the rest of the game. But it really was crazy, how bad the turnovers were last night for both teams. Not just the Giants, for both teams. The Eagles and the Giants. How bad the turnovers were. I mean, neither team could get the turnovers correct. Neither team could get the turnovers correct at all. I mean, it was really horrible. Neither team could just drive downfield, sustain a drive without a turnover, it seemed like. I mean, it really was crazy. Wentz had a pick. Wentz threw an interception, although Wentz played well. Jones had an interception. Deion Lewis had an interception. Daniel Jones had a fumble. Or Deion Lewis had a fumble and Daniel Jones had a fumble. The Giants had 3 turnovers. The Eagles only had 1 turnover. 4 turnovers total in this game. But it just is crazy how bad both these teams are. And both these teams can make the playoffs still. And that's what I said going into yesterday's game when I previewed it. I said, for the NFL, this is just another one of those Thursday night games that are lousy. 2 one-win teams battle it out. For the NFC East, this game could very well decide the division. And I do think the Giants' season is coming to a close now. They win that game, you're 2-5, you're telling me, okay, there's a chance. 1-6, just not in a good position. They're 2 back in the loss column. Just not a good position for the New York Giants. Now, it really isn't. You're sitting here, they win that game, they're 2-5, okay, you have hope. You're sitting there, okay, maybe we win this game. We win this game, then next week you got a very winnable game. Next week, next week's going to be tough. But you have a game against the Buccaneers next week, which is going to be difficult. And then you go into week 9, then you play the Redskins. But this was a must-win game because I do think the Giants coming out of next week will probably be 1-7. And that's a problem. And that really is a problem. So, it is probably frustrating for a team like the Giants to go through what they're going through right now. And it probably is very, very, very frustrating because this is a team that's been in almost every single one of their games outside of that 49ers game, and they just can't finish games. They just can't put the cherry on top. They're getting to the fourth quarter with leads, or they're down by 1, or it's a tie game. They just can't finish it off. They just can't finish off the game. I mean, last night was a pure example. They were up 21-10 with 6 minutes left. And Carson Wentz takes his team, scores 11 points in 6 minutes, and wins the game. Scores 12 points in 6 minutes. Scores 12 points in 6 minutes. Their entire second half scoring was in a total of 6 minutes. The defense broke late. The offense broke late. The defense folded. The offense folded. Both of them folded late. Evan Ingram makes that catch. There's your ball game. It's over. Daniel Jones doesn't fumble the ball late in the game. You have a shot. Hernandez doesn't have that holding call in the third to last play of the game. Okay, there's a chance the Giants drive downfield, give it to one of the better kickers in the league, and Graham Gano, and let him ice the game. Right? It's one of those things. So, the Giants yesterday really hurt themselves late in the game. He had that fumble by Daniel Jones, which wasn't his fault, but still, it's a fumble. It's going to go down as a fumble. You had a fumble by him that sealed the game. You had the drop by Evan Ingram that really messed up the game. You had the defense fold and let up a drive like they did against the Eagles. And then you had Hernandez, which I actually called it right when I saw him hold. I called it. I knew it because you could see that play gets pulled back. They're back at their own 15. Now instead of going from the 30, they're at their 15. It's a big difference. And then the next play, Jones fumbled. So there's 5 things in the final minute to 2, 3 minutes of that game that really hurt the Giants, and that's why they lost. Evan Ingram makes that catch. That's the ball game. Daniel Jones doesn't fumble. Who knows what could happen? Daniel Jones had a good 15, 20 yards or clean space ahead of him. He runs that. It's it's a what if. What if, he runs that, he gets a first down, gets out of bounds, gets 10, 12 yards, gets out of bounds, 40 seconds left or whatever, 30, 10, 20 seconds left. I was saying to the person I was watching the game with, I was saying they should take a shot downfield. If 20 seconds left, you have about 3 plays remaining. If you take 7 seconds this play, 7, 8 seconds, you take a shot downfield, right? Take a shot downfield. You're 1-5, take a shot downfield. Then you know what you do? If you take that shot, it's 10 seconds, you rush up to the line, spike it. If it's incomplete, you still have 13 seconds, you still have a solid 2 plays to go. Then you start to work the out of bounds. I was hoping that the Giants were going to take a shot downfield. Trust their quarterback. Take a shot downfield. I know he's been far from good this season, but take a shot downfield. Try it, right? Don't play conservative. Don't go out of bounds and stuff. Try to take a shot downfield, especially when you're at midfield like that. They were close to midfield, especially when you could get possibly across the 50. And yeah, it's going to take up time, but I feel like they should have tried that. And then the offensive line. This is an offensive line that just can't do anything right. And as for the Eagles, they did everything right late in the game. This was not a very clean game for the Philadelphia Eagles. But they did everything right late in the game. And when you do that against the New York Giants, you're going to win. You're going to win if you do that against the New York Giants, especially the New York Giants, because the Giants just aren't that good. So the Eagles won 22-21, and it was really just a crazy game. It really was just a crazy game for the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles came out in this game and started off strong and ended strong. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Was this the cleanest game? Was this the best game you could have imagined? No. But at the end of the day, did the Eagles come out with the dub? Yes. So the Eagles win 22-21 and now take control of the division. Let's look at some of the numbers. Daniel Jones went 20 of 30, 187 yards, 9.4 was average, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks, and a rating of 91.9. Rushing-wise, Jones had a fumble. He had 92 yards. Wayne Gallman had a touchdown. Deion Lewis had a key fumble. Receiving, Shepard was pretty good in his return. 59 yards and a touchdown. Golden Tate, 39 yards and a touchdown. He had 2 targets, and one of them was a touchdown, his first target of the game. Really just, and I really am telling you this to tell the truth. I didn't think this receiving core did all that good. I mean, you look at it. I mean, Darius Slayton, 4 targets, 2 receptions. Evan Ingram, 9 targets, 6 receptions. Just not one of those games. And then Shepard had 8 targets and 6 receptions. I mean, outside of Shepard, this just wasn't a big yards day for this team. I mean, there's been games Slayton puts up 120 by himself. I just think overall the offense was pretty dormant for the New York Giants. 59 yards, 46 yards, 39 yards, 23 yards, 20. I mean, it just gets worse and worse. And I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I just don't think that this was just definitely... The Giants, they played pretty well. It was just one of these games where you're just... the turnovers hurt you late, and your defense folding like that late is just not... You're not going to win a ball game. You're not going to be able to win a ball game. Wentz went 25 of 43, 359 yards, 14.4 was average, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks, a rating of 91.1. Boston Scott, 46 yards. Carson Wentz, 14 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Receiving, Rodgers at 85 yards. Fulgham had a big day, 5 receptions, 73 yards. Boston Scott had the big touchdown late. Ward had a touchdown. And that kind of does it for the scoring. And then Wentz obviously had their rushing touchdown the first drive of the game. And they won. Gary had a sack. Brandon Graham had a sack. And Barnett all had sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, at the end of the day, this is how you're going to win a football game. In any sporting league, you started strong and they ended strong. In the middle, they might have been tough. But as long as you start a game strong and end a game strong, you're good to go. They might have not played good in the second and third quarter and most of the fourth, but it matters how you finished out those 5 minutes of the game, and the Eagles did that just right. Giants folded on both sides of the ball, turnovers late, drop passes late, defense folding, and the Giants lose this game. A very tough loss to swallow for the New York Giants because they had this one. I mean, it was 21-10. I was sitting there kind of just watching this game. I was like, yeah, the Eagles aren't going to come back. I mean, they came back. to say the least. They came back. So the Eagles win 22-21, move to 2-4-1 on the season. Giants fall to an ugly 1-6, and they're gonna have to fix things quick because next week they got an opponent against the Buccaneers who a lot of people think could be a Super Bowl contender. So it's going to be interesting. If they win this game and they have next week, okay. They win this game and they play the Buccaneers next week, okay, there's a chance. You're sitting, not that they're going to beat them, but there's a chance maybe make that game close and, maybe you pull out of there with a win and you're sitting there 3-5 and you're like, oh my gosh. But I don't know. I just think at this point the New York Giants season is kind of down now. You had your chance. You had your chance against the Eagles and just couldn't convert, and sure enough, you lose the game. So the Giants got to be a little bit better than that, but they lose and move to 1-6 on the season. So now we move on to our regular games this week. We got all around the NFL. All NFL teams are playing except a few teams. I'll read you the teams that are on the bye weeks. Here are the teams that are on bye weeks. The Ravens, Colts, Dolphins, Vikings are all on bye weeks. So those are the teams that are on bye weeks. So I'll give you the rest of the games. Obviously, Monday night game I'll preview on Monday, but these are kind of this is week 7, so we'll run through all the picks like I always do, and give you who I think is going to win and why. So let's get into it. Obviously, I'll preview the Jets in just a little bit. So let's get into it. Here are my week 7 NFL game picks. Starting off with the Browns and the Bengals. The Bengals come into this game 1-4-1. Browns come into this game 4-2. 3-point favorites are the Browns. Over-under is 50.5. Browns coming off of a very ugly 38-7 blowout loss to their division rival, Pittsburgh Steelers. Mayfield got sat down, benched a little bit, brung in their backup late in the game. It wasn't like they benched him in the second quarter, so I don't know if it would be considered a benching. It was on the final drive of the game, so I don't know if it was considered a benching because Ben Roethlisberger too got sacked. It was just because it was a 31-point lead. There's no need, especially Mayfield went into that game a little roughed up. There's no need to try to force him to play more and possibly have an injury. So Mayfield really struggled. And they're going into an opponent that are kind of their rivals. Everybody knows Cincinnati, Cleveland, a lot of people, those two teams have a lot of connections involving fans and stuff. The Bengals, like I've said this so many times this year, and I know I keep on saying, I know a lot of people think that I'm overhyping the Bengals, but I really do believe this is a Bengals team that is a lot better than what their record shows. Look at their games. They've played so well in all their games. I understand they've lost so many. I understand they lost 4 of them and tied 1 of them, which that game that they tied, they should not have tied that game. The Eagles literally... they should not have tied that game. They should have actually lost. The Eagles should have won that game. But other than that, the Bengals have won 1 game, and the Bengals have so much more talent than what their record is showing. Joe Burrow has done amazing this season, but he's doing it with a team that just for some reason the talent around him isn't the talent people expected. A.J. Green is nothing like old A.J. Green. Joe Mixon's pretty good. Tyler Boyd's pretty good. John Ross requested trade. This is a Bengals team right now that's in a very interesting position. It's do you try to make a push here? Because you have the Browns coming up, a team that can be beat. Next week you have Next week you have the Titans, which is tough. And then, looks like you're on a bye. So do you want to, you win this game, maybe you go into Tennessee next week and pull off an upset or something. And it's a big game for the Bengals. They lose this game, their season's far gone. But the Browns, I do think, will win this game. And I understand there's been a lot of talk around Baker Mayfield, a lot of talk about Sam Darnold. Will they get benched? Will they get traded? All that kind of stuff. I'm buying more into the Sam Darnold stuff than I am the Mayfield. They said this last year about Mayfield. They said this last year about Beckham. They said this last year about Landry. The Browns, I feel like half the time just want the attention. They said this last time about Mayfield. Is he going to get benched? Are they going to get rid of him? They said this about Beckham. Guess what? They brung Beckham back. They said this about Landry. Guess what? Gave Landry brung Landry back. Or they say that Myles Garrett too. A lot of people said they're going to let him go after his incident. Guess what? They brought him back. I don't think Mayfield has to really worry. I don't think he's been all that good, but I don't think he has to worry. This is a Browns team I think that just likes attention, and I do think the Bengals will lose, but I do think the Browns will win. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I give the Browns the win 31-28. Close game. They just barely get the 3 points, and I would take the under on the over-under 50.5. Next up, we got the Cowboys and the Redskins. Cowboys come into this game 2-4. Redskins come in 1-5. Over/under is 45.5. This game's an interesting game. When I was going through the list, because I already make my picks before, obviously, the podcast, and I just read you off them. When I was reading through the games this week, and I made them obviously earlier on today, I was sitting there like this is a ball game that like both teams can win. Like, this is a game, like, was an interesting pick for me. Do I go with the obvious prediction of more than likely, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's my whole thing. If you follow what I'm saying, like, do you go with the obvious? Like, the Cowboys will probably win this game if they're on. If Elliott can get the ball and doesn't fumble. If Amari Cooper can play like he has been. You know, something like that, right? Or are you going to go with the fact that the Redskins have played well last week. It's a winnable game for them. They fought up against the Giants. They fought up against a good defense. What side are you going to take? I'm going to take the fact that it's the Cowboys. I'm going to take that side of it. I do think the Cowboys are the better football team than the Redskins. I understand the Cowboys are bad. I understand they're 2-4. I understand there's a lot going around between coach and players. I understand there's been players voicing their frustrations. I understand that. But I personally don't think the Redskins are in much of a better situation either. I don't think Kyle Allen's the answer. Their defense has been pretty good. Their defense has a lot of young players. Their offense has been meh. You know, they need another receiver. They need, Terry McLaurin. Outside of Terry McLaurin, they need another receiver. I do think the Cowboys win this game. I think if the Redskins had a slightly better offense, maybe the Redskins, but I think the Cowboys, their offense just has the edge here, and I do give the Cowboys the win. I think it's going to be a relatively medium-scoring game. 24-21, Cowboys win. I think it's going to be close. Cowboys win, take the under on the over-under 40. Actually, 24-21. That's 35. Or 45, I'm sorry. That's 45. So, 24 plus 21, that's 45. So, 45.5, I'll take the under, I guess, on the over-under of 45. Next up, we got the Falcons and the Lions. Falcons come into this game 2.5-point favorites. They're 1-5. Lions are 2-3. Over/under is 55. I've said this so many times about the Falcons. The Falcons are almost like a Bengals. It's a team that's in every single game. It's their defense that is really messing with them. It's their defense that's really messing them up. It's their defense. It ain't their offense. Their offense has been fine. Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Todd Gurley, their offense has been fine. It's their defense that is letting up 35, 40 points a game, and it's their offense that has to try and top that. So, and the Lions' offense isn't great either. So I do think this matchup favors the Falcons because the Lions' offense isn't great either. I mean, who you got? Marvin Jones Jr., meh. Kenny Golladay, okay, he's good. DeAndre Swift had one breakout week. I don't know if I'm completely buying into it. You got Matthew Stafford, nothing special. Your defense is meh, but it's a good offense. This game favors the Falcons on both the offensive end of the ball and the defensive end of the ball. So I do give the Falcons the win here. I think it's going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I think the Falcons win 35-21, and I will take the over on the over-under of 55, and I'll have it set at 56. And I think the Falcons cover pretty easily. Like I said, I think the Falcons are a lot better than a 1-5 team. They remind me a lot of the Cowboys. Good players on offense. Their defense just can't string consecutive good drives together. They'll get a stop, and then the next drive, it's right downfield, 5 plays, touchdown. It's one or the other. So it really is bad. Falcons, I do think, win big. Falcons win. Next up, we got the Packers and the Texans. Texans come into this game 1-5. Packers come in 4-1, 3.5-point favorites. Over/under is 57. I'm going to tell you this. I don't quite believe that this is a Packers team that's going to go downhill. I know there's been a lot of talk about it. I know a lot of people have been, talking about, oh, is this a team that could possibly, be falling downhill? Is this a team that was just a couple games? Is Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 blah. You've heard all this. Just because they lost one game, you're going to start to hear all this chatter about the Green Bay Packers. Am I buying into this chatter about them not being legit, about them not having a good team, about that just being a quick 4-game spurt, about Aaron Rodgers going back to old Aaron Rodgers? What do I believe? Do I believe that this is a playoff team and that could definitely make the playoffs and maybe win a couple playoff games? Or am I believing the fact that their loss last week got absolutely blown out, spread is only 3.5 against a 1-5 team that fired their head coach? What side do I believe? I believe the side that I do think last week was just a bad week. I don't think that is the normal Green Bay Packers. I really don't. We've seen them going up against good teams. Everybody talks so highly about the Saints. Guess who beat them? The Green Bay Packers without Davante Adams, their best receiver, maybe one of the best receivers in all the league. They beat them. Last week they get Davante Adams back, but Rodgers made mistakes. Rodgers doesn't make those mistakes. That's a completely different ballgame, right? I do think the Packers win here. I understand the Texans have played very good football. They played good last week, but they lost. They played good, though. They've played good since they fired Bill O'Brien. I think there's part of a reason for that. I do think it was Bill O'Brien. This team has a lot of skill. Will Fuller, Fells, Watson, David Johnson, J.J. Watt. This team has a lot of skill. Just when you have a lot of skill and a lot of potential and not a good coach, it doesn't mix well. You could have a lot of skill on this team. You could have great skill. Look at the Chiefs. They have a lot of skill. They also have a very good coach. If you put a guy like Adam Gase on the Kansas City Chiefs, that wouldn't work out. Just because he's not a good coach. Not good skill, or good skill and not good coach just doesn't mix well. Falcons now have a decent coach. They're interim. But I do give the Packers the win here. I just think the Packers, I'm not believing in all this talk about the Packers being this team that's, going to really stink it up from now on. And if they lose this weekend and get blown out again, okay, maybe. I would have to look back over. But for the time being, I think last week was just a mistake. And I think the Packers win 31-24. It's a closer game. I do think they win. And I will take the under on the over-under of 57. And I'm going to lie it at 55. Next up, we got the Panthers and the Saints. This game's big for the division in the NFC. This is big for that division. Carolina Panthers come into this game over a 3-3. The Saints come into this game 3-2, possibly getting Michael Thomas back, but it's not guaranteed. He did re-injure a hamstring earlier in practice this week, so we're not 100% sure on what that's going to bring. But we do know that the Saints come into this game 7.5-point favorites. Over/under is 51. Like I said, I think this Panthers team is a pretty good team. I think Robbie Anderson has really showed how good he's been. DJ Moore has shown a lot of positives. Mike Davis and Christian McCaffrey's absent has shown a lot of positives. Teddy Bridgewater has been everything the Panthers have asked for and more. And as for the Saints, it's been Drew Brees having a down year. Drew Brees having to work with a lot of different receivers, not having his main guy there. Michael Thomas, who played a total of only a few snaps this season and got injured. If, in fact, it's another injury, it's kind of one of those lost seasons for Michael Thomas. And I think the Saints team is a pretty good team. I do think the Saints team is pretty good. But I'm just not fully on Panthers yet. Or did I say the Saints? I meant the Panthers. I do think this Panthers team is pretty good. I don't know if I'm fully on this team going to be able to go on the road, go up against a team like the Saints, who when they're on, they could be one of the better teams in all the league. I just don't know if have that much belief in them just yet. They win this game, they're riding high 4-3. Okay, change my mind maybe. But for the time being, I just don't know if this is a team that I can really sit here and tell you, you know what, this team is going to be able to win a big game like this. They didn't win a big game last week against the Bears. I want to see how they bounce back. It was a very tough loss last week. I want to see how they bounce back. This is a young team. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, a young team, young coach, new coach in the NFL. I want to see how they bounce back from that. I do give the Saints the win here, and I give them the win 35-24, and I'll take the over on the over-under of 51. So that's my pick. Now we move on to the next game. This game is probably the best game all weekend. One of the best games all weekend in regards to record, in regards to skill. The Steelers versus the Titans. The 5-0 Steelers versus the 5-0 Titans. The battle of unbeatens. The Steelers come into this game over under 50.5. The Titans come into this game 1-point favorites. I like both teams a lot. I think both teams are very good. I do think that the Steelers can be a good team. I do think the Steelers can very well win the division. I think if the Browns continue to struggle, I do think they could definitely win the division. But I also think that the Titans are also a very good team and a very young team, to put it that way. I think that the Titans with A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, big runs, Ryan Tannehill, big runs, big plays by Tannehill. I do think this is a team that can definitely do some great things as well, followed by the Steelers doing great things as well. So I think it's about a mixture of both. Both teams doing good things. Now, here's my whole deal with this game. I think the Steelers, with Chase Claypool, I think Chase Claypool is one of the big keys to this game, if you ask me. I think Claypool is one of the big keys to this game in regards to Ben Roethlisberger having success. And that's one of the big keys, I think. Ben Roethlisberger having success. And, obviously when you're talking about a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers with Chase Claypool, with Ben Roethlisberger, and then you're sitting there talking about a team that's young, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, I think this game's going to be a big battle involving, I think this game's going to be a big battle when it comes to veteran presence, right? Because the Titans, I wouldn't really say really have that much veteran presence. The Steelers do, though. And then one of the big things in this game, too, I think is Juju Smith-Schuster. He's really struggled this year. He's really been struggling this season. He's really been, it's just not the Juju Smith-Schuster we're used to seeing. Far from the Juju Smith-Schuster we're really used to seeing. And I think that's big. That is really big for, that's big because, he's your main receiver, and now that he's struggling, you're going to have to rely on Claypool big time. So that's why I think this game is big, and I think it's going to decide a lot on what Claypool does. That's what I kind of want to say, is if Claypool has a good game, I think the Steelers have a good game. If Claypool struggles, Schuster's already struggling, Deontay Johnson, you don't really know if he's going to be healthy. That's going to be one of the big things. I do give the Steelers the win here. I just think at the moment their defense, will be able to slow down the Titans a little bit. Although their secondary does allow more plays than not, but I do think this defensive front with T.J. Watt, Stephon Tuitt, Cam Hayward can be nasty to other teams, can be scary to other teams, and I think the Steelers will use that to their advantage. I think it's actually a lower scoring game. It's going to be more of a defensive game. I think the Steelers win 24-23. I think it's a close game. I think it's a low-scoring game. I take the under and the over-under 50.5. Both these teams' defenses are very good. Both these teams' offense are very good. But when it comes down to Steelers, people say Steelers probably have the best defense in all the league. I don't care what offense you put up there, unless if it's like the Kansas City Chiefs. You have the best defense, they can really dominate. I do give the Steelers the win here. Next up, we got the Raiders and the Buccaneers. The Raiders come into this game 3-2. Buccaneers come into this game riding high off of a huge victory against the Green Bay Packers at 4-2. The point spread is 3.5. Over/under is 53.5. The Raiders are one of those teams that, you're talking about a younger team, a team with a lot of veterans, but a team with also a lot of younger guys, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones, younger guys like that on that team, right? But then you also have your older guys on that team, Jason Witten, Derek Carr, your veterans, Josh Jacobs, young, and then you also have your guys that have experience, Jonathan Abrams experienced, or actually not really, no, he's young as well. You have an experienced coach in Gruden who coached broadcasted, coaching again. You have a guy that's seen the game from all sorts of angles. You've seen him from the coaching standpoint. You saw him from a broadcasting standpoint. Then now he's back coaching. He's seen the game from so many different angles. You also have the Buccaneers on the other side of it, who's this year probably one of the main teams to go all the way, a lot of people think. Do I think that they're going to win it all? No. Do I think they're going to make it? No. A lot of people do. You have Brady, Gronk. Fournette might be back this week. I'm not sure. I would have to check the report. Ronald Jones has been really, really, really good. That's the one key to this game. Everybody's going to talk about Brady. Everybody's going to talk about Mike Evans. Mike Evans might not be out. Might not be in. He's been limited. Everybody's talking about Mike Evans. Everybody's talking about, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin come back, all that stuff. And watch out. Chris Godwin might get more targets this week. Okay? Everybody's talking about that. What you have to talk about is Ronald Jones. Have you seen this guy play football? He is unbelievable. He is one of the top running backs right now. He is such a good running back. Quick, strong, up the middle, bounce him outside, whatever you want to do, he'll do it good for you. Ronald Jones, this is like their secret hidden gem that nobody talks about that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. I do give the Buccaneers the win here. I just think talent tops the Raiders. Buccaneers win 35-21 or 35-17. And they win pretty big. Their defense under Todd Bowles. Now they're only adding Steve McClendon. I didn't think it's going to be a pretty big win for the Buccaneers. Give them the win 35-17. And I'll take the under on the over-under of 53, right? Because 35 plus 17, that's 45. And then plus 7, that's 52. So I'll take the under on the over-under of 53.5. Next up, we got the 49ers and the Patriots. This is an interesting game. The 49ers are 3-3. Over-under is 44. Patriots are 2-3. They are 2.5-point favorites. I don't really like this spread that much. You're sitting here telling me a 2-3 Patriots team is going to beat a Niners team that's coming off of a huge win against a rival in the Los Angeles Rams. I don't like this point spread. Now, I'll sit here and tell you why I don't like it. I don't like it for one simple reason. Look at the records. 3-3, 2-3. Look at how these two teams have played within the past week or two. The Patriots have been through a lot. 49ers, Garoppolo is back last week against one of the best defenses in all the league. They stopped Aaron Donald. Who on the Patriots defense is like Aaron Donald? If they can stop Aaron Donald like they did last week, they should have no problem stopping the New England Patriots. They should have absolutely no problem stopping the New England Patriots next week. That is what I want to say. They should have absolutely no problem stopping the New England Patriots this week. And I give the Niners the win here. I know they're 2.5-point underdogs, but I'm taking the Niners. I don't like how this Patriots team played last week. I didn't see any positives. They couldn't beat a team that's kicked 6 field goals. I didn't like this team last week. I thought the Patriots played poorly last week. Poor at best. Their defense played well. Offense looked poor. Niners strengthened their defense. I give the Niners the win here. Low scoring game. 21-17. Niners win. And I will take the 21-17. I will take the under on the over-under of 44. Next up, we got the Chiefs and the Broncos. Chiefs come into this game 5-1, 9.5-point favorites. Broncos come into this game 2-3, over under 46. Guess what? The Chiefs got their big loss out of the way against the Raiders, right? They got that loss out of the way against the Raiders. They turned it around, played the Buffalo Bills, a good team, won that game, right? They played well. The Chiefs were fine, right? The Chiefs did lose and they struggled, but all in all, the Chiefs played a good football game against the Bills. They were able to bounce back. That's what I like to see out of the Chiefs. Losing a big game like that, able to bounce back and play well, I like to see that. I think the Chiefs will do the same thing this week. I did not see enough positive out of this Broncos team to say that there was a chance. They kicked 6 field goals last week. I'm sorry. That doesn't make me too happy in a football team. Your football team, the Jets kick 6 field goals and win, I would be perfectly fine. You want to know why? Because it gives the Jets a win. The Broncos, who are a team that I know have a lot of potential, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant coming back, Tim Patrick's been good in Noah Fant's position, Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon's coming back, Drew Lock came back. I didn't think that team was all that good last week. Yes, they won. You're not going to get it done. You ain't going to win a ball game kicking 6 field goals, especially against the Chiefs. The Chiefs win this game. And I do think they cover. I think the Chiefs win 31-14. Didn't see enough positive out of this Broncos offense last week to give them a high score. They go out, put 20 points up this week, 30. Show me wrong. Win the game against your division rival in the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't see enough last week to say that this Broncos team could come up against the Chiefs and compete against them. Now, they score 30, I probably would have said the same thing. But the fact that they couldn't even reach the end zone is really something to keep an eye on. And a team that probably is the best offense in the league, you're just not going to be able to keep up with them if you continue to kick field goals. So I think the Chiefs win 31-14. And that means I will take the under on the over-under of 46. Next up, we got the Jaguars and the Chargers. This game's going to be a pretty good game, I think. This should be a pretty exciting game in regards to the Chargers and in regards to draft position. These two teams are 2-9. The Chargers come into this game 7.5 point favorites at 1-4. Jaguars 1-5. Over/unders 49.5. These are two teams that are just kind of, their seasons, kind of iffy, right? Chargers don't blow that game against the Saints. They win. If they're 2-4, they win this week probably, I think. Then next week they got an interesting ball game against the Lions, or not the Lions. Then next week they play against the Broncos, which is a winnable game. The Chargers win that game. You got me maybe thinking that they could definitely do some things, but the Chargers did not win last week. I do think they're really frustrated. I think Justin Herbert wants to come out, prove that this is a team that can bounce back. Hopefully Keenan Allen plays. Coach Lynn did say he can. You got Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler still on IR, but the couple running backs that have played for the Chargers have been really good. I do think the Chargers win this game. I just haven't seen much positive out of this Jaguars team. I mean, the Gardner Minshew, the Minshew Mania thing has stalled once again this season. I do personally think that the Jaguars will lose and the Chargers will win. So that's my personal opinion on this game. And I think we can all agree that this Chargers team is a lot better than what they've shown. I mean, they almost beat the Saints, who a lot of people think are one of the better teams in all the league. They almost beat them. They did lose. I think they bounced back. And I think they just win this game pretty big. 38-17. Chargers win. Played well against the Buccaneers, lost. Played well against the Saints, lost. Blew that game. Blew the Chiefs game. All their losses this season have came by one score or less. Blew it against the Panthers. Blew it against the Chiefs. Blew it against the Buccaneers. Blew it last week. 4 of their losses, all blown games. This week, they got to secure it. They win this game. 38-17, I said. And that means that I would take the under. All right, 38-17. No, I'll take the over on the over-under of 49.5. To cap it off, this is some Sunday night game. I mean, this game's going to be fun to watch. The Seattle Seahawks come in 5-0, 3.5 point favorites, versus the 4-2 Cardinals coming off of a blowout win against the Dallas Cowboys. Cardinals come in 4-2, over/under 56. Okay? I think this is going to be a fun game. You got a little Kyler, you got Russell Wilson, you got Kenyon Drake, you got Chris Carson, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got DK Metcalf. Name all the positions in the world. You have good matchups at each position. Safety, you got Jamal. If Jamal Adams comes back, you got Budda Baker. Right? Name every position. I mean, you got DK, D-Hop action. You're watching Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. You're watching DeAndre Hopkins and DK Metcalf. You're watching Kenyon Drake and Chris Carson. I mean, this matchup is full of star players. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, Kyler Murray, Budda Baker, Jamal Adams. This matchup is full of star players, big names. That is what this matchup is full of. And I like that for a primetime game with the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's going to be a primetime game. This is going to be your definition of an amazing primetime game. It's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be exciting from start to finish. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think both offenses are really good. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, Chris Carson. You got a lot of good receivers like that. On the Seahawks side, Cardinal side, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins. Got a lot of good guys on that side of the ball. Both offenses are stacked. I do give the Seahawks the win here. I think the Seahawks do ride high and go 6-0. And I think the Seahawks win. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Seahawks win 38-35. And I will take the over on the over-under of 56, right? 38 plus 35. That's 20. 38 plus 20, 35. That's 20 is 58. So I'll take the over on the over-under of 56. And then the Bears and the Rams are the Monday night game. I'll preview that game on Monday, like I always do. So that's the plan. So these are my picks. Just to, I always like to just say them again, just in case if in the pod I accidentally said something wrong, or just to make sure that you understand the teams I'm picking. These are my picks. I got the Browns winning, the Cowboys winning, the Falcons winning, the Packers winning, the Saints winning, the Steelers winning, the Buccaneers winning, the 49ers winning, Chiefs winning, Chargers winning, and the Seahawks winning. So we'll just go through one more time. Browns winning, Cowboys winning, Falcons winning, Packers winning, Saints winning, Steelers winning, Buccaneers winning, 49ers winning, Chiefs winning, Chargers winning, Seahawks winning. So those are my picks. Now let's move in and preview the Jets game. Jets, Bills. Bills come into this game 11.5 point favorites. Jets over/under is 45.5. The Jets are 32nd in points per game, 29th in points per game allowed, 31st in total yards per game, 32nd in pass yards per game, 21st in rush yards per game, 20th in yards per game allowed. It is pretty bad. When you think it can't get much worse for the New York Jets, it kind of has. Now, I will tell you this that is promising this week, and I'm excited to watch him play, that the Jets are going to get Sam Darnold back. That is the plan, to get Sam Darnold back. And the Jets also plan on having Denzel Mims make his rookie debut. Obviously, the receiver we drafted out of Baylor, very highly profiled guy, very highly scouted from high school to college, one of the better receivers Baylor has ever seen. A lot of people recruited this kid highly, and the New York Jets picked him. And I liked the pick a lot. You heard on my podcast when I was talking about the NFL draft. I liked the pick a ton. The New York Jets picked him up, liked the move. He's been injured the first 6 weeks of the season. We now get to see him with Sam Darnold, and that was a big thing. There's rumors he was going to return last week. I personally didn't want him last week to return. Not that I was hoping that he would suffer a setback. I wasn't that. I just didn't want to see him because Flacco. I would rather see him with the starting quarterback, the guy that he's going to be throwing to him for the foreseeable future, unless if Trevor Lawrence gets picked up by us. Unless if we draft Trevor Lawrence, but we'll talk about that another day. That is the one exciting thing about this game for the New York Jets, is the fact that we do, in fact, get Denzel Mims and Sam Darnold back. This will be the first week, as long as Jamison Crowder stays healthy, that we have the three receivers that we're supposed to have by week 1 playing. Denzel Mims, Rashad Perryman, Jamison Crowder, all playing all together. So that's our plan. Sam Darnold, Frank Gore, guys like that on the offense. Here's my whole deal with the New York Jets. I don't have them winning. I have them getting blown out. But the one promising thing is that we do have Denzel Mims. And Sam Ficken might be out. That's another problem. You never like to see that. You don't want to see your kicker out, especially when it's a kicker that's been solid for you. He's only missed one kick this year, and that was, a 53-yarder. So, those kicks could matter in games, or I think the Jets will get blown out. So if if Sergio Costello, who's our backup, misses a kick, I don't think it's going to matter much. I have the Jets losing big in this game. I have the Jets losing 31-7. And I take the under on the over-under 45.5. The Jets we're horrible. We're horrible. The one promising thing this week is Denzel Mims. I want to see what he does. We might lose 31-7, but if Mims gives me some good plays, some highlight plays, I'll be happy. I'll be fine with that. I would be happy with the performance of Mims. Now, that would get lost in the loss, though. I probably wouldn't come on to the podcast and talk about that. I would talk about the Jets' loss because that's what the main thing is. Jets are back home against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills more than likely going to win the AFC East. And the New York Jets, 0-6, more than likely be 0-7. 31-7, Bills win. Jets lose. I think that's obvious. So, for the picks, Jets losing, obviously. I have the Jets losing. Browns winning. Cowboys winning. Falcons winning. Packers winning. Saints winning. Steelers winning. Buccaneers winning. 49ers winning. Chiefs winning. Chargers winning. Seahawks winning. And then the Bears-Rams game. I'll preview that on Monday night. Or the Monday podcast. So the Jets, 31-7. I have the Jets losing. And I take the under on the over-under 45.5. And the Bills cover very easily against the horrible New York Jets. 31-7. Jets lose. So that is my game pick there. And now we move on to fantasy football. Coming up next, fantasy football. Alrighty, so here we go. So I'm gonna read you one league, and then obviously, we'll go from there. So here is here's the deal for my one league. These are the players I'm starting this week: Aaron Rodgers, Ezekiel Elliott, Chris Carson, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, George Kittle, Todd Gurley, Bills defense, Harrison Butker. I'm projected a 118.2, and my opponent's projected 85.8. So hopefully I can win and score all those 118 points. And my bench is Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, David Johnson, Robert Woods, Matt Ryan, Rams defense, and Ronald Jones. My decision on putting in the Bills defense, they're playing against the Jets. I mean, what else? I mean, it's kind of simple. I think if you're a quick tip involving the Bills defense, I think if you're deciding through the Rams like I am, the Rams playing against a not great Bears defense, I still take the Bills. Bills are playing against the Jets, probably the worst offense in all the league, the worst team in all the league. So I'm putting the Bills defense in. Just because. The Jets offense is horrible. And then for the Rams I'm benching. I just think the Bills defense is going to do better. I'm not starting Ronald Jones. I've liked what I've seen out of Todd Gurley a lot this year. He had a bad week last week, but I still like what I saw. They're giving him carries. I'm still starting Chris Carson. He had a bye week. There's no reason why I shouldn't bench him. I shouldn't play him. He's had 13 points last week. He's at 18, 16, 7, 22, 13. So he's had an amazing year already. Elliott, I know a lot of people are worried about him. I understand. I am a little bit too. Only had 4 points last week, but I am still going to start him. I think he's playing up against a Redskins team. I think he'll have a bounce-back game. I don't foresee him fumbling through 2 times again. I think he'll have a solid game. Now, am I concerned that maybe they less his carries a little bit? Maybe. But I do think that Elliott is the starter. I do think you should start him. Devontae Adams, I'm starting. Rodgers, I'm starting, right? They're playing against Houston. I understand they had a bad week last week. I understand that, but I still think Aaron Rodgers is the right move. It was one bad week. I don't think you all of a sudden bench him. Some available guys out there. They're obviously everybody's, a lot of people, you're wondering who to start and stuff. The running backs for my league are kind of slim. You've got Justin Jackson. You've got Giovanni Bernard, who could be an option, and Darrell Henderson. I think Darrell Henderson's probably the best out of all those. So if you're trying to pick up a guy, that's probably Darrell Henderson, I would say. Receivers, you could pick up Will Fuller, Terry McLaurin, Jameson Crowder. If you're in a situation like I am in my other league, which I'll read to you in a bit, receivers could help because I have 3 receivers that are questionable. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Keenan Allen. I'll talk about them in a bit. Tight ends, they're really high on Gronk after he had one big week. They're really high on him. Got him almost being projected 8 points. That's a lot. Telling you. I understand. I like Gronk. I've said this for years now, and ask people I know. I've said this for years now. The one player on the New England Patriots that I liked. I don't like Belichick. I didn't like Brady. I didn't like Edelman. I didn't like anybody on that team. I didn't like anybody on that team. I just don't like the Patriots. Don't like them. The one player I like was Gronk. He's funny. He's good. Stuff like that. I still don't believe that he should be projected near 8 points. He had one big week, people. Look at his season. He's still only putting up 4.6 a game. 1 point, 0 points, 4 points, 2 points, 5 points, 13. He had one huge week. I think a lot of people are getting a little hyped up. Once again, name over numbers. A lot of people are going with the name over the numbers. People are starting Brady because of the name. Look at the numbers. I don't know if he's a starting quarterback for fantasy. So, at least for the points that I'm in. I'm in just the standard scoring leagues. I only do standard scoring. I'm not PPR. I forget. What are the other leagues? I know there's PPR. PPR is a league. You could do points per reception for quarterback. And I know there's PPR standard. That's really all it is. But I'm just a standard scoring league. So that's my fantasy lineup I'm rolling with. Aaron Rodgers, Elliott, Carson, Adams, Robinson, Kittle, Gurley, Bills defense, and Butker. That's my starting lineup. So I think if, I would say that too. So this is my other league. 3-3 this week. Need a big win here as well. Deshaun Watson, Kenyon Drake, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, A.J. Brown, Rams defense, Daniel Carlson. My bench is James Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Chase Claypool, Chase Edmonds, Chris Godwin, and Noah Fant. Yes, I did pick up Noah Fant. I dropped Zach Ertz as he might get traded and he got placed on IR, so no need to keep in my lineup. It's not like he's playing that great anyway this season, so it wasn't like he was playing insane and I didn't want to drop him and have somebody else pick up. I'm not really missing him. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that obviously I'm hoping that Claypool, or not Claypool, I'm hoping that Font puts up numbers. He's obviously had a good year when he's in, but he's obviously been injured, so he's obviously plays. Hopefully this week he'll be healthy again and plays. Godwin's questionable as well. But here's my deal at the receiver position. So Mike Evans, and by the way, if you're wondering whether to start Clyde Edwards-Helaire or not, I would start him personally. I think I would start him. I would personally start him if I were you. I think he had a big week last week. He's shown the Chiefs why they should play him. I understand Bell's there. I don't think they're going to give the load of the carries to Bell and then just forget about Helaire. He's made his mark on that team. I don't think the Chiefs, Andy Reid, would do that to Helaire. Give it all the carries to Bell and then only have Helaire. It's not like you're paying Bell all that much money either for him to feel like you need to give him the carries, right? I would say start Helaire. And here are the questionables. Mike Evans. Evans' ankle was limited participant in Thursday's practice. Keep an eye on him, right? Just progressively throughout the day, Saturday, definitely Sunday. Just watch out, right? Be ready to either use the waiver wire or whatever situation you're in. Allen, his back, remained limited at practice Thursday. A.J. Brown knee returned to practice Thursday. John Glennon of The Athletic reports. So those are all positives. Limited, and returned are good. It's not like he was... Limited isn't bad. I mean, it isn't good, but it's better than not practicing, right? Especially early on in the week, Evans, I think, missed a practice. So it's good to see that he's making progression and being limited. Today will be a big day to see. If he was limited today, there's a chance. If he was full today, that's good. If he was limited, it might be a game time decision. So I have 3 questionables, and they're 3 very good players: Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown. So just watch out for them. And waivers too. If you're in a situation like I am in, although I have backups, if you're in a situation where late, you need a player to do something, late, you could, some guys could be, like I said in my last league, if Will Fuller's available, Terry McLaurin, if he's available, bad defense against the Cowboys, I would favor that. You favor that matchup against the Cowboys. Not a great secondary, runs a lot of open space, gives a lot of cushion between the receivers. He's a big yards guy. He can get you yards there. And Claypool. Let's just say Brown or one of them doesn't play. I think Claypool would be the next man up. It's in the way A.J. Brown. A lot of people are talking about, A.J. Brown against the Steelers defense. This Steelers defense has allowed 39.6 fantasy points per game to receivers. That's 9th most in the league. This is a Steelers defense that lets up the 9th most points to receivers in all the NFL. So I'm going to start A.J. Brown. And he's shown how good he can be against good defenses. So that's why I'm starting A.J. Brown. So those are my fantasy. That's my tips. Like I said that yesterday. I didn't see any comments yesterday, I don't think. I could go and look back and just make sure. But like I said, you have any fantasy questions, comment them in the comment section down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. I'll answer them, give you who I would put in, and give you why I think that. And then, too, give me, a situation, too. Don't, you can ask, who should I start? This player. But you could say, if A.J. Brown's out, for example, who should I bring in on my bench? And tell me who. Because tell me who's on your bench. Tell me who you're deciding. So, I know not all of you might have fantasy questions, but if you do, you can drop them in the comment section. I will tell you what I think. Give you my opinion on it. So now we move on to today's game of the Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays. Dodgers, 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Series tied at 1-1. Walker Buehler on the mound for the Dodgers. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Rays. Should be a very, very fun matchup. I got the Dodgers winning this game. I got the Dodgers hitting Morton. I got Buehler pitching a good game. and I think the Dodgers win 6-4. That's my deal with that. I just think it's just going to be one of those games. I really do. I just think it's going to be one of those games. Now I move on to college football. These are the upcoming games. We got Wisconsin versus Illinois. Wisconsin wins. Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Coastal Carolina. Kansas State, Kansas, got Kansas State winning. North Carolina State, North Carolina, go to North Carolina winning. Ohio State, Nebraska, Ohio winning. Georgia, Kentucky, Georgia winning. Florida, Missouri. Oh, those games are postponed, sorry. Marshall, Florida Atlantic, Marshall winning. Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama winning. Iowa State, OK State, I got OK State winning. Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Notre Dame winning. Penn State, Indiana, Penn State winning. Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech winning. Michigan, Minnesota, this is the big game, nightcap. Michigan got them winning. Cincinnati, SMU, got SMU winning. BYU, Tech State, BYU winning. And I got Syracuse winning, or Clemson winning as well. And got Clemson winning, big time. And then these are all the rest of the Big Ten games. So, Wisconsin winning, Ohio State winning. Rutgers, Michigan State. This is going to be an interesting ball game. You got the Mel Kiper, Greg Schiano making their debuts. I get this whole thing with the Rockers. I give Michigan State the win here. I think Michigan State will win. I get the whole thing with Rockers and stuff, but I think Michigan State will win. Purdue, Iowa. I got Iowa, Penn State, obviously, Northwestern, and then Michigan. Those are my picks there. And then for the Miami game, Miami comes in. Over-under is 56. 13.5-point favorites are Miami, ACC Network, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a lot of fun. I give Miami the win here, and I give him the win pretty big here. I think Miami wins 35-17, and I will take the under on the over-under with 35-17. Let me see. Yeah, 35-17. I'll take the under on the over-under of 56. So I think they cover and Miami wins. Those are my game picks for that. So, that's what I got. Also, we've just got news. The NBA eyeing a 72-game season. League is targeting December 22nd start date and a 72-game season that finishes before the Olympics. So, they're not going to play a full season, which is interesting because now without a restart, you could technically play a full season, but I guess they don't want to do that. So, that's going to be interesting. Yeah. So, I think it's going to be good. Let me see. Doing these perfect picks thing for the World Series. I don't know if you know that on Bleacher Report. I'm going to give Seager a home run. Neither. No, I should have picked neither. That would have been a smarter decision. How many total runs will there be in game? 6-4 or 5+? How many strikeouts does Bueller have? He's averaging 7.5 per game. I'll give him K's 8 or 9. And Dodgers take game 3. Okay. So it looks like the NBA is eyeing a 72-game season. That's really good. I like that. I really like that. NBA eyeing 72-game season. I think that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know why 72 games, but I guess, starting earlier. That's what I've always said, too, as well. Starting December 22nd is good. And I want it. I think the ratings will be really high, too, because of the whole Christmas thing. I think the ratings will be high. I'm just not a big fan of starting this season in the new year. Like, starting in 2021. I'm just not a big fan of that. Like, I don't think you're going to get as many games in. And then, plus, if you have a case, and it cancels games. And you can give yourself more cushion if you start earlier. And that was the original plan with the NBA, too. Was they were going to wait for all the teams to have fans in attendance. You can't wait for that, right? So, they were going to wait for that, but they can't. So, certain teams will have fans, certain teams won't. But it should be fun. So, I'm excited to see what happens with that. But with all that being said, that's what I got for today's podcast. We're already over an hour, which is crazy. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy your football weekend and baseball. World Series tonight, kicking off another big weekend of sports. Got World Series tonight, World Series tomorrow, World Series Sunday. So got World Series kicking it all off tonight, 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Should be a good game. Tomorrow, full day of college football. Sunday, full day of NFL. Enjoy your baseball and football weekend again. Enjoy it. I'll see you all back here on Monday. And, as you all know, I take breaks on the weekend, so I'll see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.